toys for $160. Bro, I'm not gonna lie, that sounds really cheap.
Gutierrez had the world at his feet. His
No, he
rap
didn't.
career was just starting to take off, but he
Nah,
needed a
bro,
little
stop.
side hustle to keep his music career moving, and his side gig involved dissolving bodies in acid for a local cartel. With these actions, his humanity dissolved too, and he exposed the truly depraved depths that people will do for a quick buck. Christian Palma Gutierrez has been rapping since his teens, and
Jesus
as he grew
fucking
into his
Christ.
20s, showed a lot of promise. He amassed 125,000 YouTube subscribers and had 2 separate Facebook pages with a combined 140,000 followers. He was also scheduled to perform at a music festival in April 2018. He rapped about drugs and violence, with one song named Death Has No Schedule. He portrayed the typical image of a gangster rapper who drove fast cars
He
and
is a
motorcycles
gangster rapper,
around
bro.
poor neighborhoods. Through his YouTube channel, he made $155 to $310 per month, and at 24 years of age, Gutierrez now had a wife and children he needed to provide for. His producer Sismo said he had dreams of growing, of making a living from this, so his parents wouldn't have to struggle anymore, so his family could get ahead. But this video showed a gruesome side to him, which the people who worked with him and his fans thought was fictional. One video showed footage of a bloodied man on the ground with his hands tied. His producer explained, in Oba's case, regarding the video of the tied-up man, it was symbolic, saying he was killing them with his music. In another one of his songs,
Bro.
he raps, quote, "My voice will be the house where they rest in peace, so they are tormented in darkness, but they'll like it." Although the rap career was on the
Bro.
rise, it wasn't paying the bills. It was clear that Gutierrez needed an extra job to keep his music career going. A man named El Cochi got in touch and offered him a job at a mechanical workshop where
Here's
he
the
earned
thing,
between
here's the
$80
thing.
and $100 per week. He was
Here's the thing,
also
you can always
spoken
say no to the
about other
cartels.
duties he might have to carry.
Listen, bro, the cartels, I say you can always, but that's not true. Most of the time, you can't say no to them and they won't bother you. The only times when you really can't say no is if you owe them money, or if it's 2014 and the Zetas are taking over buses and having the people fight to the death. In those cases, you can't, right? In those cases, you can't. But usually, you can. You can, right? Like, you absolutely can. People say you can't say no, but that's not true. Because they usually don't bother people who don't want to be bothered. Usually. There were a couple of years where it didn't matter who you were, what you did, how good you were. If it was your time, it was your time. There was a couple of years. But now it's not really so much like that.
Out too. Gutierrez was now working for the Jalisco New Generation Cartel. Formed in 2010, this cartel branched off from the Sinaloa cartel to start its own racket.
Yeah,
And
that's
because they
El
went on their
Mencho,
own, They
right?
also waged war with any cartels who dared stop them. This cartel made headlines in 2015 for a series of attacks on security forces and public officials.
The latest cartel target, Mexico's military.
Cartel de Nueva Generación.
Generation
Yeah.
cartel took the fight to the next level, shooting down a military helicopter with a rocket-propelled grenade, killing people, 6 of them, last week. Look at that.
Yeah,
Gutierrez
they
was
are.
clearly working with a dangerous group of people. It would be sooner rather than later that he got caught up in their deadly workings.
Yeah,
While Mexico was embroiled
Nueva
in
Generación
gun
are one of the
wars,
most
country finally
violent
had
ones.
some good news they could celebrate. Guadalajara was the hometown of Guillermo del Toro, who had recently won Best Picture at the 2018 Academy Awards for The Shape of You. To have such a positive and uplifting international story about someone from Mexico was a breath of fresh air. And for film students at the University of Audiovisual Media in Guadalajara, he was an inspiration. One day in March, 3 film students, Daniel, Salomon, and Marco, went to work on a school film project.
Take
They
his
decided
job?
to film at a
Hell no.
property owned by an aunt of one of the students. Little did they know, they were filming at a hangout spot for the Nueva Plaza gang, and the Jalisco cartel
Oh,
had their
fuck.
eyes peeled on this spot spot for possible members to attack. They were simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. Suddenly, the students were approached by what looked like policemen holding guns, who forced them into a car, but they soon realized that these police uniforms were merely a front. It was the Jalisco cartel, and they thought they were kidnapping possible members of the Nueva Plaza gang. The fact that they were innocently filming in this location wasn't believed, and even if they were members, this would have been the perfect excuse for them to use. They began beating them, and these beatings took such a toll that one of them died. The other two were now witnesses to their murder, so they needed to be killed too. That night, at 3 a.m., Gutierrez received an urgent call on his phone. It was from the cartel, and they made reference to pozole, a famous Mexican soup. Gutierrez knew that it would be a different type of soup he would be working on. He told his wife that he was urgently needed at the
Bro, pozole is real nice. Okay? Pozole is the nectar of the gods. And there are stories with every single fucking Mexican meal that has meat, bro. There are stories about them. Every single one. Whether it's fucking dog meat, cat meat, human meat, you name it, bro. You name it. Every single one. Yeah. Yeah. For example, sacahuil, which is a big Mexican, it's a big, it's like a tamale, but big, right? Like a big tamal. Some people believe that it's the size that it is because it used to be a small child that would get sacrificed. Because our ancestors used to eat people, bro. And then people are like, pozole, you know, it looks like, bro, it looks like blood, okay, because it's red and it has meat. So everybody's like, yeah, you know what? Pozole probably at some point had human meat. And it might have been drunk out of the skull of people. Because we have so many like human sacrifices, right? Over here. So yeah. Yeah.
mechanic workshop and got an Uber ride over. When he arrived, there was a water tank and 3 lifeless bodies. They were tossed into an acid bath head first. The tank was full of hot sulfuric acid. This would firstly dissolve the skin tissue and organs, then eventually dissolve bones and teeth. Sometimes the bath needed to be stirred too, which would speed up the process, but this process takes quite a long time. In fact, Gutierrez left the bodies on the tank to dissolve by themselves and arrived 2 days later to see if it had done its job. If there were any traces of the bodies left, the remaining fluid would go into a drain, and any sludge would be dumped in a nearby field. It was an incredibly gruesome job that most people would refuse to do for any amount of money. Dietes, meanwhile, was making $160 for this. The disappearance caused outrage across the country. 30,000 people went missing due to the country's ongoing drug wars, and 3 more had just been added to this figure. And behind those figures were loved ones taken from their families and lives ruined forever. 3 days after their disappearance, students from their college held a protest and urged the authorities to find them before it was too late. "We're students, not criminals," they shouted. "Will I be next?" In solidarity with their message, the staff from the university staged a walkout protest the next day. While all of this was happening, Gutierrez was at home watching the coverage of it on
Jesus
TV. In
Christ.
his testimony, he said, quote, "I started watching the news to see what happened, and I saw that 3 students had disappeared, that they had
that he
kidnapped them.
knew.
In the moment that they showed the photos of the missing,
He
I
knew.
realized that it dealt with the 3 cadavers that I helped Bozolier. It took only a few days for him to get caught and arrested, and the guilt and anguish was building up inside of him so much that he came clean." Gutierrez was charged with aggravated
gotta shut the
kidnapping, but
fuck
is
up.
only one of 5 people involved in these murders. And this activity was not a once-off. He was
shoulda shut
also
up.
involved with 3 other murders. The reason why he did these despicable deeds is the
You
most
should've shut
difficult
the
part
fuck
to
up.
understand. He was only making $160 a week from this gig, which was hardly
You
a
should've
penny's
shut the
ransom.
fuck up.
If he was selfish enough to disregard the lives of other people, why was
Bro.
he still willing to jeopardize his rap career? The music festival he was scheduled to perform for in 2018 now had to find someone else. The
He
most
misplayed.
charitable explanation is that he was offered a job.
Bro, he misplayed heavily. He should have fucking shut the fuck up. Bro, you already fucking dissolved them. Now you're gonna hand yourself in because you feel bad. You're killing yourself, dude. When you do that, you just killed yourself. Because now you know information. And now you're going to jail. And if you feel bad, you're gonna talk. And it's easy to just kill you than to maybe have you talk. He killed himself. He killed himself, bro. Like honestly, I don't think he's alive in jail. I don't think he's alive in jail. He knows too much. It's way easier to just kill him off. Way easier.
Job that he was too afraid to turn down. In prison, Gutierrez was placed under special protection on 3 occasions by the judge. He cooperated with the police, so now he has been deemed a snitch and could be killed by cartel members from inside the prison. He was now an enemy of the cartel, but at least behind these prison walls, he was relatively safe. Gutierrez would not face being made into a soup of acid like the film students. The trial is still ongoing and is believed to be taken to the Supreme Court. In another twist, the property they went to film at was allegedly a beauty shop owned by an aunt of one of the students. However, the aunt also allowed the cartel to use this property as a brothel too. She obviously had no idea that these ties would end up killing her own nephew. The reaction of this entire ordeal was met with a sense of shock, but many have argued that given his violent lyrics and videos, we should have seen this coming. Luis Cardenas wrote in a column in the newspaper El Universal, "For 2 years, Omar screamed in his songs that something was very wrong, and millions saw that, and none of us did anything at all. Now, 3 young people are dead, and 1 life is ruined." Some also looked at the broader issues at hand. Luis Gonzalez Perez, the head of the country's Human Rights Commission, said, quote, "What we have to do is to stop this climate of violence, because there's the risk that if there are no jobs, no education, if the young people don't have recreational opportunities, well, the drug cartels are going to recruit them." The young film students had their whole lives ahead of them, and the film that they were going to bring into the world never got made. And let's not forget the talent that Gutierrez showed as a rapper too. But the sight of 3 aspirational young people having their lives taken away from them even tugged on the heartstrings of Guillermo del Toro, who tweeted, quote, "3 students are killed and dissolved in acid. The why is unthinkable. The how is terrifying. There are no words to comprehend the magnitude of this madness." At a film event in Canada, Del Toro spoke about violence in Mexico in incredibly chilling terms, that every moment is almost like a horror movie in itself.
In reality, especially being Mexican, things happen out of nowhere, and that's the real terror. You can be coming out of a dinner and somebody can be shot 10 meters away. You can be lifted from your home in the middle of the night. There is, every time you're in a horror moment in your life in Mexico.
Thank you for watching. Please click on the video.
Like, he's not wrong. I've had family members, thankfully none dead, but I've had family members, dude, who just stopped at the red light and then they look to the left and there's a shit ton of cops pointing guns at their car because there's a guy hiding on the other side of the fucking car. You know what I mean? Like, this is doesn't happen very often, but when it does happen, you know, you only need one time, man. One time for it to go wrong and you're fucked. You're gone.